So if you woke up today and you didn't have to worry about funding, what bold product move would you make?
All the bold product moves that we're doing now. So it's kind of like asking me what's my roadmap, because I think we've got tons of bold product moves. I think that ChatGPT is obviously going to become one of the biggest challenges. ChatGPT commerce is going to be big, and we're working on that, and I think that's going to be really exciting. Commerce. So like Shopify
Commerce.
integration, Walmart integration, Etsy integration. This is going to be massive in 2-3 years, and yeah, we're like.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ignite podcast. Today we're thrilled to have Max Sinclair on the mic. He's the founder and CEO of Azoma, a portfolio company and fair disclosure. He's also ex-Amazon product lead who helped launch Amazon Business in the UK, Amazon Grocery, and amongst other things. He's steeped in e-commerce, the content space at least, and now leads one of the earliest AI SaaS plays to optimize for AI-powered search. Thanks for coming on, Max.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Brian.
I was telling you before we started recording, my favorite kind of episode to record is with my founders. So I'd love to hear about your background for the audience and kind of get your origin story.
Yeah, sure. So I went straight to Amazon out of university. I worked at the company 6 years. I know you did as well. I think that's kind of one of the things we bonded over.
Right. Yeah. OP1, OP2, 6-pagers. Yeah.
All of that good stuff. And I guess my career started in account management. I was, as you said, in Amazon Business. I then went, crucially for what we're doing now, worked in search, in IDQ, as they called it in Amazon, IT and data quality. I was in charge of the browse and customer experience for the launch of Amazon in Singapore. And then, came back and headed up grocery in the EU. And I guess the origin story of the business is I went on something called Entrepreneur First, which is a little bit like cross of The Apprentice and Love Island. I don't know if US listeners will get.
No, I think we know about it.
They know about it? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're on this, I quit my job to go on it, and you're on this full-time program for 4 months. I try to meet a co-founder. And I guess the timing was very fortunate because I left Amazon to do this in September 2022. Remember November 2022, because that's when ChatGPT launched. So me and my co-founder were experimenting with pre-ChatGPT, GPT-3 in the API. We were looking at the early diffusion models that were coming out of Stability at the time. But very quickly after ChatGPT launched in November of that year, we had the thesis that this was going to be the future of search. And we initially thought on marketplaces. So we initially thought this was going to be the future of how Amazon and Walmart and these guys would display their products to their customers, because it was so obvious that an LLM was such a better experience than what I had worked on at Amazon. And in the old days of Amazon, as you'd know, you type in kind of brown t-shirt and you'd get all sorts of different colors because all the sellers would be keyword stuffing, and the AIs weren't smart enough to value the image as part of how they should rank the product. They didn't understand the context of the user's questions or keywords often, and they would show irrelevant stuff. They wouldn't, use as much data as of the customer search behavior as they will do now. So we thought this was, going to be the future, and started building Azoma then, really. And it's now been 3 years. We're over 7 figures in revenue. We have Colgate.
That's huge. Congrats.
Mars, thank you. And Colgate, Mars, Arla, HP.
Especially for your early investors, this is really big for us.
Exactly. Well, we've been growing very, very rapidly. So we
self-congratulatory tap on the back for myself here.
We 10x this year. So I think it is very interesting.
That's crazy.
For the first 2 years of the business, we were showing people, Amazon sellers, science papers and going, hey, look, there's an LLM in the algorithm. You guys need to do stuff differently. And that was literally the sales pitch that I would do to people, like share my screen on Amazon Science, be like, look, this is what's happening. You guys need to optimize. And for 2 years, it was very hard to get people to, we had, early adopters, and very grateful to them, and built the product in partnership with them. But it took a certain type of personality as a seller to really care about the science papers and want to try, wacky stuff to optimize for LLMs. Now it's obvious and everyone wants to do it. And AEO and GEO are like, new terms that we would never be using, when we started doing this. But
maybe you could break those terms down. So the last, generation was SEO, right? And it started just like you described it, just keyword stuffing. You'd put like white text on white backgrounds and stuff like that. And and then Google, privy up to that, and so they would release a new model every month or quarter, and then you'd have to go redo all your SEO. But now you just threw out a new term, which is AEO, like AI. Like,
Yeah, so
tell
the
us about
term,
that.
the one I like the best is answer engine optimization, or AEO, because I think it best encapsulates what we are trying to do, which is
Answer engine optimization. That's
exactly, when you ask an answer engine like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Amazon Rufus or Walmart Sparky a question, customers are going to expect an answer.
Anthropic.
They're going to expect the answer to that question, and like sometimes that answer will be a product recommendation, and that's what we're helping or service recommendation, and that's what we're helping our customers with, is to be recommended by these AI engines.
Yeah, I love that. So maybe reflecting on the last 3 years, I'm sure it's flown by really fast, but maybe for founders listening who are they're sitting at their Amazon desk in their fifth review of their 6-pager with their skip level. Tell us about that, taking the plunge. Like, what do you wish you knew then that now, kind of looking back, and how would you advise people, drudging it on in corporate life, thinking about making the plunge?
Well, my first thing would be, it was the best decision I ever made. And I remember calling up my grandpa, who's no longer with us, and kind of having this offer for Entrepreneur First, and saying to him, I was kind of in the market for a new thing. Like I think you reach your natural point in corporate jobs where you've been in the role for like 2 years or so, and either I'd been promoted, and it's kind of like what's next kind of view. And I applied to a few things. I applied to Google. And then Entrepreneur First, because I had a friend who worked there, and I've always wanted to. I had been doing like startup ideas on the side, and I kind of had the view that these would never work because I had a pretty intense job. It was like 8 to 6. I was managing a team of about 15, so like all the challenges and fun that comes with like managing people, plus, as you say, delivering projects for my skip managers and all that great fun stuff. So I would probably have like an hour or two every other evening, and then maybe some time on the weekend where I would like explore startup ideas, but they never went anywhere because I could never commit any real time to them. And then so I applied to Entrepreneur First with the view of, if I'm going to do something, if I want to do this, which I wanted to do, I should probably commit myself to it fully, because it wasn't working just kind of like playing around with ideas for half an hour.
What is Entrepreneur First, for folks listening don't know what that is?
So that's the speed dating thing I was talking about. It's speed dating for founders. It's an accelerator. You go there as a solo founder, and you meet a co-founder. And they have it in San Francisco, I believe. They have it in London. They have it in Toronto, which is where I went on it. But they don't have it there anymore. They closed that. But they have it in a few places around the world. New York, I think, as well.
So you go there and you just meet a bunch of co-founders. If you're a CEO,
exactly.
a business person, you can meet a technical co-founder, and vice versa.
Exactly. So they accept about 20 commercial people and about 30 technical people onto the program, which is amazing if you're commercial, because it's something you quickly realize, which is like, actually technical talent is not the bottleneck. The bottleneck is like a product market fit and something that has a good idea. There's, at least when I did it, there was this kind of balance of, you as a commercial person, you were more looking for a customer pain from an industry that you knew, and you're looking for someone who like had a unique technical skill that would solve that pain, and like the kind of that melting pot of your unique understanding of an industry and your co-founder's unique technical expertise hopefully could build a business, right? And that business would be special, that only you two could build because of those things. So in our case, as I said, like I had a deep e-commerce and search background. My co-founder's a PhD in postdoc in AI, had built a machine vision company, like really understood what was happening in the Gen AI space. So we were kind of uniquely positioned to build this Azoma, answer engine optimization company. And, many of the different founders, everyone had their own background commercially and technically, and you're kind of like going around trying to like see if there was, that could match, and those two puzzle pieces could link in like a unique and interesting way.
Love that. And so you guys start out and you're building for a while, and then at some point there's an inflection of growth. Tell us about that and kind of what unlocked that.
So we started the company in 23. We went on Techstars in 24. So we're out in the Bay. eBay Ventures were the LP of that. So we were talking about optimizing e-commerce for LLMs back in early 24, and still nobody thought this was a thing. And I remember being in the eBay offices, and we like had a mentor from eBay, and we went to their offices a few times, and trying to explain to like these senior VPs at eBay of like, hey, like LLM is going to be the next way that eBay search is going to work in a year or two. And they're like, no, they're never going to cannibalize the ads business. Like, this is never going to happen. Like, this is a bad idea. So we were still like, it was still a really contrarian belief in 24. I think since the start of 25, and just the mass, like the march of ChatGPT adoption, it kind of became, and that forcing Gemini and Google to do AI overviews. I'd say that was kind of the start of 25 when this went from being like a contrarian, really edge thing that only really early adopters would be interested in terms of customers, to like everyone's interested in it. It's really obvious that people are discovering stuff with ChatGPT, and Amazon Rufus is, like Google itself has like changed, suddenly like everything's getting an AI overview from Gemini. And that, I say, was 25. And, as we discussed, like you've seen like a bunch more startups kind of enter the space, around that time that it became very obvious. And that was the inflection point as well. And we've 10x'd revenue basically in the last 10 months. So we've been riding that inflection point as well.
Yeah. So do you feel like you have product market fit, and how do you know?
So I think I would define product market fit as giving repeatable value to customers. And I'd be very cautious to say yes. And the way that I would define it is yes, is that we have had we're an enterprise company. And we've had 3 enterprise companies where we've had a pilot in the tens of thousands, and we've signed annual deals in the hundreds of thousands. So in 3 independent cases, we've kind of proven the value of the service, and we've 10x'd the contract value for a year. And extended it as well. We've gone for more brands, or larger scope, more marketplace, whatever. So I think we have signals that we have product market fit based on the fact that like the customers want to buy more of our stuff, and they're willing to pay like a lot more to expand it. But I think it would be careful. I mean, it's not, I think we are, given we're like 7 figures of revenue and growing very quickly, I think it's fair to say like we're approaching product market fit.
I love that. Somebody said, I don't remember who, but product market fit feels like the market's grabbing you by both nostrils and pulling you out of the office. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but.
Well, we definitely have that. But to me, there's like sales market fit and product market fit. Like we definitely have sales market fit. Like we are basically completely inbound driven, has always been inbound driven. We've never run any paid ads. Like if you see my LinkedIn, I get like hundreds of people from like all sorts of customers commenting on the link on our LinkedIn and like, wanting to book demos. We have really strong, we built a brand in this space because we've been talking about this for so long that people, like it's now very fashionable to talk about AIO and generative GEO, but we've actually been like reading these science papers for 3 years, and like we got 2 patents. We've been building this. We've got case studies. So I think we definitely have sales market fit where like the customers want to buy our product. Then the question is like, are you delivering repeatable value to the customers? Which is like a second step and really hard. And I think signals would say to me yes, and I would say like, I mentioned a couple of the brand names we have. Some of them are on the annual deal. Some of them are on pilots. If we convert some of these like 6 months pilots to annual deals and they're 7-figure deals in the new year, then I'd say, yeah, we have product market fit.
Yeah, love that. So that's a really interesting thing that you said there, which is we haven't done a lot of outbound.
Correct.
I mean, that's when you have the right thing at the right time. Because, a question I might ask you if you're pitching me is like, hey, what's your distribution wedge? And if you tell me like, hey, we're growing, some, high, mid double digit, 40, 50% a month without any outbound, this is just inbound people coming to us asking for demos. That's pretty compelling.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's a good investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very compelling.
It's true. Like we have 3 salespeople in the company. I stopped doing sales. Like I stopped doing any sales at $1 million in revenue because I wanted to focus completely on like delivery and customer success. So I'm now, as a founder CEO, like basically, managing that side of the business. Like we have 3 salespeople who are doing all the demos, and they're pretty much booked all the time. And like we are about to hire like a go-to-market person, but really we haven't needed like a go-to-market person. Like these are 3 A's just like taking sales demos and like owning that end-to-end sales process. But we've not really explored any email marketing or LinkedIn. Like we haven't done any of that kind of stuff. It's all been organic coming from like the content we create. We have a podcast, like we post on LinkedIn a lot, and also I speak at lots of events. So like speak at Shop Talk, like all the big industry events. Like, you know, I've been speaking at about this stuff for 3 years. So we speak at events and we get lots of people booking demos after that as well.
Yeah. So the content strategy is working. So the advice to founders out there is, if you're putting your message out there and talking about it, and people aren't reaching out and saying, "Hey, I want to learn more," like you might need to pivot or something.
It doesn't come naturally to me. I think it's quite cringy, like the whole like you know, shopping for likes on LinkedIn. But like it's really working as an engine to drive the business. So you have to get over that like natural cringe. You know, I kind of feel like my parents on Facebook, like I see my mum like posting stuff on Facebook and I'm just like, oh, that's so cringe, like posting these holiday photos or cat photos or whatever. But that's kind of like me talking about Azoma. So it is a bit cringe, but at the same time, like I am very passionate, as you can tell, about like AI optimization. I find lots of stuff interesting. Like I read like the Walmart and ChatGPT integration that launched last week, and I'm like, you know, we're digging in with my co-founder's a PhD. We've got 3 machine learning engineers on the team, so we're like digging into all the stuff, and like, you know, like I'll put a post about it, I will write a blog about it, and I do enjoy that. I'm interested in that, and it just generates a lot of inbound, demand. People want to see the product and find out more.
Yeah. So how does it work? You know, for folks out there listening that might be customers, maybe describe, what's the onboarding look like? What kind of value is it delivering? Like, how does it work under the hood? Things like that.
Yeah, sure. So we've got 2 patents in the business, and I think a lot of newer competitors are using what is our patented technology, and maybe one day we'll do some moves on this. But basically, what we do is we send like hundreds of thousands of prompts through the front end to the AI engines like ChatGPT. We're collecting the responses. We're looking at how they're scraping the internet in terms of their web traffic. And we're looking at the responses we get back, and we built a predictive model that simulates how people are actually having those conversations with ChatGPT. So broadly, like it's parallel to how like SEMrush is giving you like keyword data in ChatGPT by kind of extraction and simulation. It's a similar type thing that we're doing. So they do that with Google. We're doing that, not for keywords, but for conversations, ChatGPT, similar type thing. So we built that technology. And then basically, once we can simulate how people are, talking to ChatGPT, we help our customers to generate content that is answering those conversation topics. So that's product listings, blogs, recipes, different types of content that we do. We integrate with our customers. So we integrate into their PIMs or DAMs or websites or Amazon or Walmart or whatever it is. So we can like do this at scale, at the content generation at scale. And yeah, basically we're monitoring that conversation in AI search, and we're generating optimized content that answers those questions, and we're driving revenue for the customers.
That's amazing. And so as a customer, selling pots and pans or whatever, now I can understand how people are interacting with my brand, with my products.
Yes.
At scale in all these different engines, and then optimize basically the content on my pages, product listings that can then optimize that experience in these answer engines.
Yes.
That's
exactly.
amazing. So looking out like in the near term, in the next year or two, what are you guys excited about?
We've 10x in revenue in the last 10 months, and I want to continue that trajectory. So we're on a massive hiring spree. Maybe strange for businesses, we're actually like startup businesses. We're profitable in Q2. So we've raised a bunch of money, but also like we're generating good revenue. So we like, my focus now is building the right team. And like, I don't know if you have any advice on hiring. It's probably something that I found the hardest. I've tried to I did over 100 interviews at Amazon. So like, I was constantly interviewing at Amazon, but I find interviewing and just attracting good people to apply to Azoma, which is a company that, you probably heard of if you are, in the search and e-commerce space.
Yeah.
But
you almost have to kind of I think you almost have to approach it like a spear fisherman instead of like a net fisherman. I think you have to actually find the right person and go after them with a recruiter and be like, this is all the characteristics of the kind of person we want in this role. And then like, who out there looks like this? And let's just go grab them rather than waiting for them to come to you.
I mean, definitely, I think it's true. Like I find recruiters, I haven't had success working with recruiters yet, and I've tried a few. I don't know, like if you have any.
We've had some on the podcast. Yeah, we have some on the partner list that you could try. I guess we haven't talked about that, but I can make some referrals offline for you. It is a challenge, and it's a challenge for me too, right? Hiring the right people. I think the old phrase is like a hire slow, fire fast. And I think that's a little more challenging in the UK than it is in the States, right?
I think it's
here we have it's just no fault, at will. You can just fire anybody for anything. doesn't matter. Just like,
It's
I don't like the way
definitely
your hair
harder.
looks, you're fired, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely harder. And I think Europe has a big problem in that point. You can't just fire people, which means you're a lot more cautious in hiring.
Yeah.
So like, obviously, right? So it means that like companies are suffering compared to in the States where they will just hire and fire at will. And yeah, so there's a big problem, just like probably one of the reasons why we grow so much. Like the European Union has grown so much slower than the US if you look at the last 20 years, right? From being similarly sized economies to like a third of the size of the US or half, whatever it is. Like it's kind of staggering how slow the European Union has grown, and like, you know, like general kind of life, like any measure of like life happiness or whatever, like is just not growing as fast as the US. But yeah, so that's definitely
Yeah.
more of a
It turns out regulation slows innovation, you know?
who would have thought?
And I disagree with Trump on a lot of things, but one thing to him, what his administration is doing is removing layers and layers of complexity and regulation, just letting business do its thing, which is why we have all this affluence in the first place. It's capitalism and businesses and scientists driving
Yeah.
GDP gains. You know, one thing that we were wrestling with here in the US recently was all the AI regulation, but at the state level, you know, so
Yeah.
they tried to put the kibosh on that at the federal level and say, no, yeah, at least a hiatus on it. Like, hey, give it a few years. Let us figure out federally how to do this. But back to the hiring question, maybe a hack to consider for you is hiring remote contractors, contract to hire basically in other countries. How do you think about that? Like, how do you think about remote work versus?
I didn't love it, to be honest. I think that we need to be in person. We have two offices. We have an office in Canada and an office in the UK. All of our technical team is based in Canada, my co-founder, and all of our commercial team is based in the UK. So sales, customer success, everything is in the UK with me. I think that worked really well for us. I secretly quite like that there's an ocean between the sales and customer success people and the tech people, because it kind of means that they can focus and build, and like we can talk to customers and sell. And obviously we have calls every day. But I don't love the idea of people either not being in one of those two hubs.
Yeah. So anybody you hire, you definitely want them in one of those two offices.
Yes.
You know, most days per week, it sounds like. Yeah, that makes sense. What about long term over the next 5 to 10 years? What are you excited about?
What am I excited about? I'm excited about really kind of challenging some really large companies with some really senior people taking fat paychecks and doing very little. And what I'm talking about are the media agencies, the WPPs, the Publicis, the Digitas, these guys, you know, these big $1 billion plus businesses which are like owning, you know, hundreds of mini agencies and have like tons of senior strategic leaders who are not doing anything. And this is who we compete with, really. Like when we're working with our customers, you know, who's doing their old SEO, who's doing the old content for the likes of Mars and Colgate, is these guys, right? And I think we are learning to partner with them in some cases, but also, and like, you know, I hope we can grow some partnerships with some, but also like, you know, I don't see us as competing with other software in it, really. Like, you know, like, yes, there's other software providers, startups who kind of say they do what we do. But really, like, when we're with the customers, we're competing against kind of bloated companies. So like we're looking forward to making some friends and making some foes, and kind of like taking a large market share of like a, you know, this service industry, which I think will all be AI in 50 years time. Like a lot of this stuff will be AI agents, and we're you know, excited to lead that charge.
How do you think about funding going forward? Because you're growing really fast. How do you think about going out for an AA, raising, you know, 5 or 10 million and really going after the market versus like kind of self-funding at this point?
I definitely want to raise a big Series A. It's an ambition of mine, and the reason it's an ambition of mine is I think like part of what I just said there, like it announces us to our customers that, hey, we're going to be the partner for you. We're going to be here for the next 20 years. We've got like more cash than you could like possibly like think makes sense, and you know that you know that we're a partner. And then secondly, it shows to the market, the industry, that like some VCs have done due diligence on the software, on the product, and they think it's got product market fit and it drives value, and they've vindicated that with their funds. And then thirdly, I think it enables us to build those partners with these bigger kind of existing WPPs and everything in a way which is, we're going to partner with them on a more equal footing, because they know like we've got way more cash than like they could spin up a competitor internally, but like it's going to be nothing compared to, you know, our resources and our technology we built for 3 years and the direction we're going to. So for those reasons, it's something that I'm motivated to do, even though like financially I don't need to. Like could be bootstrapped, but like we have very big ambitions for the company. So yeah, I'll be on a trade mission actually in LA in February, and then I'll maybe back in San Francisco and we'll be. I think SF is still the best place to do this, right? So I'll be back there in the new year, and yeah, let's see.
Nice. Awesome. Well, let's kind of wrap up with a rapid fire. So if you woke up today and you didn't have to worry about funding, what bold product move would you make?
Well, we are like all the bold product moves that we're doing now. So it's kind of like asking me what's my roadmap, because I think we've got tons of bold. I think that ChatGPT is obviously going to become one of the biggest challenges. This is not a rapid fire answer, by the way, so apologies.
That's fine. Rapidish.
All right, I'll do it rapid. The rapid answer is ChatGPT commerce is going to be big, and we're working on that, and I think that's going to be really exciting in the future.
What is that? ChatGPT comments?
Commerce. So like Shopify integration, Walmart integration, Etsy integration. This is going to be massive in 2-3 years, and yeah, we're very excited about what we're doing.
They want to become the new Google, which is the portal to all the world's information, right? That's kind of Sam Altman's vision, right? Like you go there and it's like your assistant that helps you do everything. And shopping's a big part of commerce. It's a big part of our GDP. So that makes sense. Speaking of which, what's a misbelief founders and people have about AI and e-commerce that you'd like to correct?
AI and e-commerce. I still am of the belief, two things. I don't think that you can replace human communication with AI. So I don't believe in AI SDRs. Like sometimes I get a cold call and it's an AI and it's like, I am not talking to, doing a cold call with an AI. I don't think you can AI like customer success. I think that the customers want to talk to a human, especially once they paid a lot of money for the product. They want someone to hold their hand and walk them through it. So I think there's some stuff which will not be AI automated. So yeah, I think I like that would be my hot take.
Yeah. What's the single toughest negotiation you've had to lead so far as a founder?
I think our team is built up of a lot of ex-founders. So I have founders, ex-VC-backed founders who was actually one of my flatmates when I was on our first accelerator. We've got other people who have exited, had exits and are friends of mine who've joined the company. 2 people were hired from accelerators, one a friend in the software space. And I think the hardest negotiation is convincing really smart people who could be founding their own companies and will do it again in the future to come and like be part of your mission for the next 3 to 5 years. That's really tough. And that's the hardest one that I've done.
Yeah, that is hard. How do you decide when to build versus integrate, partner for a new capability? Build by partner.
We have built everything ourselves. We don't rely on any partners. We want to completely control the customer implementation experience. I mean, obviously, we're using the open source LLMs and whatnot. So, like, we're using AWS, we're using ChatGPT, but we would not. I think unless we're not using any and HubSpot. So I guess it's not really true, but like. Certainly in the product, we want to control.
At some point, you're not going to build your own CRM. I mean, that's
exactly
that's undifferentiated work,
Yeah, but broadly,
unless there was a really good business reason, like, I'm going to build this really special CRM that is a competitive advantage for us.
But I'd say maybe anything to do with the customer and implementation of like how our product adds value to our customers, we will build that ourselves. We will not use any third party unless it's kind of something we cannot replicate. Building a new LLM, and the $1 trillion investments have gone into OpenAI, like we're not going to be able to replicate that.
What's an AI trend that's kind of under the radar that deserves more attention right now?
Well, one that I've started using, and it kind of relates to our earlier conversation about hiring, is AI recruiters. It's a very cool company called Jack and Jill, and you kind of, as a candidate, you interact with voice and you explain what you want in a role, and also as a hirer, as a company and employer, you interact with voice as well, and you explain what candidates you want and it matches them. So I think voice AI, when you elect to use it, is a really interesting thing. Like I said before, like I don't think you can go cold to people with AI. I think they'll hate it. Like you don't want to get a cold AI email, you don't want to get a cold AI call. But I think I think certainly there's many use cases where if you're opting to use AI because you want the scale of AI, you want it to be sourcing thousands, hundreds of thousands of candidates and like all of that. There's definitely places AI is advantageous over humans. And yeah, in those cases, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. How do you maintain content quality at scale while avoiding hallucinations or errors in the platform?
Well, we've got a pattern that focuses on this. So, you can ask my co-founder who's a PhD and postdoc. We've worked very hard on this. I think it was a lot harder problem maybe when we started out than it is now. I think the models do a much better job at stopping hallucinations themselves. But certainly when we were selling this, 2 years ago, we were very much focused on the product and controlling for hallucinations.
Looking back at your Amazon days, what's a leadership principle or lesson that you still apply every day?
I love it. Well, there's two which we've copied into our company. The first is insist on the highest standards, which was always my favorite at Amazon when I was managing people. I love that ruthless focus on just like higher and higher standards and holding people, yourself and team members, to them. We've basically taken that verbatim as one of our 4 principles in our company from Amazon. And the second one we haven't taken verbatim, but we've been inspired by, is of course customer obsession, the kind of the OG principle, and we have adapted it in our own unique way. But yeah, that's a key one as well.
Yeah, I love that. I haven't sat down and wrote out the principles for Team Ignite yet. I should do that at some point. Probably copy a lot from Amazon.
Yeah, I had 6 and now I have 4, because actually I found that a team of 20. I think on reflection, one of the things that Amazon did brilliantly is that you talk to any employee and they will tell you the 14 leadership principles and they will try and optimize their work for it. I mean, it's insane how ingrained that culture was, and it's really, really hard. And that's why I decided that we're going to I narrowed it down to 4, because I want people to be able to remember 4. And I, try and talk about, whenever I talk to the team, I talk about in terms of one of those 4. So that's what I hope I can learn from Amazon.
Well, this was an awesome conversation. Thanks for coming on and catching up with me.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you.